The Group 1 Centenary Sprint Cup is race number 5. It's also the first leg of the 6-up as well. Group 1 over the 1,200 metres, featuring last year's winner, but headed by Mr Stunning, the two-time winner on International Day. DB Pin, Sam Clipton all ride. Beat the clock, Joe Moreira for John Size. 50-50, Hugh Bowman flies, and he was behind Beauty Generation on International Day. Little Giant, 4th in the sprints at International Day. Winner's Way. It's a big step up in class behind Conti last time out. Born in China as well, up in class. And Styling City, who's won 3 of his 5 starts so far this season, but the 3-year-old into Group 1 company is a fascinating inclusion. Brett, we're at the touchscreen to have a look at the speed map at this, because it's a particularly interesting one. We've got Mr Stunning here in front, but there's probably a couple of other options as well.
There are. The dynamics of this race are completely different to the ones on International Day because, 1, there's no Hot King Prawn, and 2, from other sprints we've had, Victory's not there as well either, and they're both noted front runners. Mr Stunning can lead in trials. We've seen it numerous times, so he may well take the option to take the lead. Karras may want to sit there if the tempo's right and there's not too much pressure from anything else, but DB Pin, I think he's forced to roll forward from his wider alley, potentially. I don't know whether Styling City's got the pace at the moment to potentially test the lead. I think Little Giant can posse up a little bit closer. And of all these horses, he's probably the one that's still a little bit unexposed because he's had so many soundness issues. But the 2 at the back here, I think they're locks for those positions. And Beat the Clock won't generally test the pressure. But, yeah, it could be a little bit of a scramble early. And I don't think, you know, Mr Stunning's a guaranteed leader, but he's, you know, right up there with a chance.
Yeah, it's certainly fascinating as far as that's concerned. Paul, what do they look like in the morning?
Yeah, they've all looked pretty good, as you can imagine, leading into the Group 1. Here's Mr Stunning, just doing some nice quiet work, as you can see, just under a decent hold. He's taken no ill effects from his glory and International Day, and he looks really good, so he's all set. DB Pin, likewise, he does it nicely enough here this morning as well. Interesting to see where they do go from barrier 7, as we saw on that speed map, but no issues from him as well. Just nice and relaxed as he comes down. And the other one we're going to look at is Beat the Clock. And Beat the Clock looks good. Again, he's got barrier 4, so I'm interested to see what Joe does do with him and where he does finish up. So tactics are going to play a lot in this race.
They certainly will. Well, we can go back. We've got the 1, 2, 3, 4 from International Day lining up once more. Got a little Born in China as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in actual fact, wasn't it? But DB Pin was held up slightly here. I don't think it necessarily cost him victory. Mr Stunning was too good on the day.
Well, you can see here Hot King Prawn and Victory led them in, didn't they, see? So they're not there. So if you take them out of it, all of a sudden you've got Mr Stunning and DB Pin setting 1, 2 positions, with Little Giant a little bit closer to them, actually, and then Beat the Clock running on. I think it's been well suggested in the media that Joe's made the selection Beat the Clock. He feels his trial was exceptional, doesn't think that he's trialled any better. There's not a huge difference between the lot of them. They've all raced each other on many occasions, and I tend to think that maybe he might get his chance. I am interested in a Little Giant a little bit more because, as I said, he's not fully exposed yet at this level, so he's the little fly in the ointment for me.
I think Mr Stunning can beat them again. I'll tell you the reasons is because the way that we saw that speed map, he can lead and it's no problem to him. He can sit a trail, but it's no problem to him. But the other horses have to do something slightly different than they're not used to. DB Pin, whether he goes forward, which he doesn't do in the past. Beat the Clock, if he gets back off a slow pace, Mr Stunning will get first run on him. So that's why I like Mr Stunning.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with you because he's such a great horse. He's won the last 2 sprints. And he could easily win this too.
I will, but I'll save it for later on. Let's have a look at Styling City, the 3-year-old, getting £7 off his rivals here. Gets up to the 1,200 metres. John Moore said he's been crying out for that. This was behind Jolly Banner last time at huge odds.
Yeah, it was a funny run, wasn't it? He sort of was off and on and off the bridle when he looked like he was well beaten, and then he fought on and almost won the race again. So maybe the 1,200 metres is ideal for him. He has led over 1,000, but as Brett said, he's lost his pace a little bit.
This is a big step for him. He's 102 rated. The rest are sort of around the 120. If he can be competitive against this lot here, it does hold a promising future for him, but I'd be very surprised.
I think he can get, you know, he's not going to disgrace himself, but it'll be a huge effort to win. What about Beat the Clock then? We spoke about Joe Moreira making that decision. Let's hear from the jockey now.
Joe, you've ridden Beat the Clock in his recent barrier trials. It would have been the first time you'd ridden him for quite a while. How did he feel?
He felt great. His trial was very, very impressive. I don't remember of him trialing any better, so as I said, we were very impressed with his trial.
Any changes from last season to this season, do you feel?
Oh, based on that trial, you would think that he's a little bit more mature and doing things more straightforward. So, and it's a big plus because in the last season, I would say he used to do a few things wrong, like come off the bridle and then lose concentration. But it looks like for being a little bit more mature this time, I think that's something that is going to be left on the side. So, yeah, I'm extremely happy with the horse.
He's one of two horses in the race from the John Size stable. You've also trialled DB Pin. Why did you decide to go with Beat the Clock, Dave?
Well, based on that trial, I don't think anyone else would choose the other one. DB Pins obviously did trial very well also, but I don't think there is much between them. And I could get beaten by DB Pins as by some other horse in the race, but based on the way how Beat the Clock trial, and I just thought we should stick with him and hopefully can get the best out of him.
The horse that beat both of them in the Hong Kong Sprint last time was Mr. Stunning, a horse you know as well. Is he the one to beat in the race overall, do you think?
No doubts. What he's been doing so far is putting himself as the favorite of the race. But as I said, there isn't much between them all, so it could go the way of Beat the Clock at this time.
All right, there you go. That's Joe on Beat the Clock. One more horse to have a look at, and that's 50-50, who's also coming off a run on International Day, but he's coming out of the mile behind Beauty Generation.
Yeah, he's got to dodge Beauty Generation, I think, and he's come into this. But he sprints well, and he's been placed behind Hot King Prawn before, over 1,200 metres. And look, I didn't mind his trial, so I'm going to give him a chance on a very minor lot.
That is Beauty Generation alongside a Singapore Sling winning that trial.
Yeah.
50-50, they sort of changed. They were going mile, then they went sprint, then they ended up going mile. It's sort of been
50-50.
Yeah, exactly.
1,400 metres.
I actually think he's better at 12 than the mile, so I give him a chance on that respect.
All right, Mr. Stunning for you though, Paul.
Yeah, I got him on top to beat the Clock. 50-50 for third and DB Pin in there for fourth. So 1, 3, 4, 2. I think the one can win.
I think any of the four I've got in can win. 3, 1, 5 and 2. I'm going with Beat the Clock over Mr. Stunning. I think Little Giant still has a little bit more exposure to come at this level because of those soundness issues over a long period of time, and DB Pin's a 3, 1, 5, 2, and I'll just move back and let these two have their chat.
I think DB Pin, he can do it again. The key for DB Pin is momentum. Like last year, he covered ground last year, but he just kept on rolling. I think they do the same thing again. If Mr. Stunning's in front, I think he can run him down.
There we go.
So there you go.
Look forward to it. It should be a good race.
It is a good race.